So the first move is obviously to take off your intake. For me and people with the aftermarket ones, it might be easier because I know the OEM stock intake box, you gotta like clamp it, which is hella annoying, but for me and people with aftermarket should be easier. Just taking off these clamps. Pop off whatever intake you have, and like Humble Mechanic said, put a rag in the OEM one so, you know, nothing falls in. And then next you take off the T30, which is behind this hose. And I was told that don't worry about it, it doesn't like come off all the way, so just unscrew it. This hose is basically the only tricky part you need to worry about when taking it off. And the trick isn't to just pull it right from here. The trick is take off the OEM inlet pipe and then pull it like that. The inlet pipe, it's basically a turn, so when it's in, you turn it gently, but also kind of hardly. I mean hard. And I also heard that you should kind of do this with your car kind of warmed up, or kind of warmed up and then cooled down, because plastic, it cracks when it is cold. So, you know, you don't want it to crack. But I mean, we're changing it anyway, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But maybe you want your OEM one back, so don't let it crack. And then you kind of just pull it out, and that's basically it. Now the hard part is just taking off this hose. And the trick is bring your OEM turbo inlet pipe up and just kind of pull it apart. Not really much of a trick. And that's basically it. You wiggle and pull, and that's it. That's really the hardest part of the install. And here, let us compare it side by side. Holy snap. The Unitronic aftermarket one, way more air coming through into the turbo. It's this bend where it's kind of restricted, where air comes in and then it gets restricted through this bend, whereas this one, way bigger, way smoother. And I like how the Unitronic one is just basically an OEM design. There's no other parts to fiddle and diddle with. Because I know there are some aftermarket inlet pipes where this piece is like two parts, where you got to screw on a plate, which then connect this and then put it back onto your turbo, which I don't get why, if the OEM one came like this, why not just make it like this? So I'm glad Unitronic is able to make it a one-piece design without having even more moving parts. So I also like how the Unitronic one has basically all the OEM components, the rigids, the placeholders, whatever it's called, necessary. Like these things that are supposed to lock into place, Unitronic at the OEM spots. So it's a direct bolt-on fit. So OEM one is plastic, which I guess is a thing with Volkswagen using plastic parts, but Unitronic metal, I definitely like it more because it's metal. I trust it more. So when you go about putting the aftermarket one, the new one back in, you go in kind of like this. It's the best way to put it. Put it in like this, and then you twist it towards you, and everything should lock into place. The tricky part is just lining it up. When that bolt, that T30 lines up, as you can see it line up, then it means it's lined up. For me, I'm still too far out. I gotta twist it towards me more. Hello, my friend. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Once it's locked into place, it's locked in for real. It's not going anywhere. Throw another towel back in there, and then you just put back on the T30 and you're golden. Hey, future editing Lucas here. Let me just jump in real quick. So I actually had a problem putting the PCV hose back in instead of taking it out. For whatever reason, the hose doesn't sit flush all the way down with the opening, but at the end, I did feel and hear a click as I was trying to push it all the way down. And I was watching the Last Human's Garage's install video on his Unitronic turbo inlet pipe, and his also doesn't sit flush all the way down.
and mine was sitting exactly how his was sitting, just slightly above from being flush all the way down. So I actually took a screenshot of his video and sent that to Unitronic and was like, hey, is this PCV hose supposed to be sitting flush all the way down? Or, you know, is this normal? What's going on? And they basically said, as long as you push it down and you hear a click, it should be fine. So after the install, I went and did a few hard pulls. I got no codes, no lights, no anything. The car felt strong. It pulled hard. So I guess it's all good. As long as it's secure and doesn't come off easily, it should be fine.
First off, I want to say, forgive me if the audio isn't great, because my dumbass, I got everything except the adapter for the mic to my camera. So this is just my on-camera mic that I'm recording with, and I know it's not gonna be fantastic. But so I just did a couple of pulls, and it does kind of feel like it pulls harder. But is it actually because of the turbo inlet pipe? And it makes sense if it is, because obviously more air equals more power. But there are other reasons why my car could be pulling harder. Is it a placebo effect? Like maybe I installed it and in my head I'm like, obviously it's gonna pull harder, so I'm just justifying it in my head. Or is it because it's getting colder? Winter is coming, it's like the end of fall, so colder air, also more power. Or is it because my tires on this specific road is extra sticky today and it's just gripping everything, and therefore also feels like it's pulling harder? And I'm just saying all this to be completely honest, because I don't make these videos to try to deceive anyone. I'm not here saying like this part definitely makes a car a whole lot faster, you should definitely go out and buy it. I'm not cashing no checks from these companies, so all this is just purely my opinion. And given something as simple as a turbo inlet pipe, it's not something I personally can isolate and measure only the turbo inlet pipe, because I don't have the resources or the equipment or the measurement to isolate that specific part. There are people that have, and I've read their results on online forums and stuff. And for my Unitronic one, I mean, if you just look at the side-by-side comparison photos, you can just obviously see the aftermarket one, the Unitronic one, is going to give you more air. And I know it's not something as drastic as if you were to go from stock and get a tune, or you go IS38 or some other more major upgrades, right? That you can obviously see. Just put your car in a dyno and you know, you can obviously see from the test results that, okay, it's making more power after this, and this. The turbo inlet pipe is just one piece of the puzzle, and I was watching Humble Mechanic's video about this, and he said something that I want to repeat to you guys, that how it's the combination of all the other bolt-ons working together to give your car maximum power. So it's the turbo inlet pipe with the intercooler, with the tune, with stickier tires and everything else working together to give your car more power. It's not just like, you know, changing your intercooler and your car is gonna feel brand new again. It's the combination of everything working together. Some changes may yield that big of a difference. For example, if you go from like stock to a stage 2 tune, then obviously your car is gonna feel a whole lot different. But you need to, you know, change your downpipe, change your intercooler, your turbo inlet pipe, and all those things working together will help your car make more power efficiently, effectively, other E words. But back to the turbo inlet pipe, it's not something that's required or that you have to have in order to flash your car to any stage or any tune. The only thing that is required, the only piece of hardware, is a downpipe for stage 2. But stuff like the intercooler, turbo inlet pipe, aftermarket intakes is just highly recommended for your car to make its target power more efficiently, effectively, and other E words again. But for me personally, just looking at the Unitronic turbo inlet pipe versus the OEM one, just the fact that the Unitronic one is metal sits more comfortable with me than the OEM plastic one. I don't know why. I guess cost savings or something for Volkswagen. They love using plastic. And although it's not something that's absolutely necessary, it definitely wouldn't hurt to have on your car, no matter what stage or tune you have, even if you're stock, just because based on physics and more air, more colder air to be exact, helps your car make its power effectively. If not, maybe even give your car a slight power bump. So if you're kind of debating if you should go for a turbo inlet pipe or not, I would say go for it. I mean, it is only $150. Actually, I shouldn't say it only is. $150 is $150. So it's not as expensive compared to all the other bolt-on parts like an $800 intercooler or a cap exhaust, where if you don't like it, you're gonna end up kicking yourself for spending so much money. And I hope you're watching this before the end of November when I uploaded. Black Friday is around the corner, and I think Unitronic is gonna have some sales. I'm not sure if it's exactly the turbo inlet pipe. I know their tunes usually go on sale on Black Friday, but keep an eye out. So, you know, you probably could even pick this up for even cheaper than $150. And if you're watching this for someone else, maybe you're thinking about giving this as a gift, which I think is a great idea. Do you need any more friends? Do you want to be friends? Because I do, so I can get in on this gift giving next year. But yeah, I mean, it definitely doesn't hurt to get, and given that it's one of the cheaper mods and easier mods that you can do by yourself, you don't have to pay for labor or anything. Just get it. You know, if it's not as crazy as if you were to get like a $800 cat back, and then you're like, oh wow, it sounds like trash and I want to return it, but you can't, and now you're asked out of $800. So this one isn't as bad. And I think that is about it for all. That about wraps up this video. As always, you know, if you have questions or comments, feel free to leave them below and I'll try my best to answer them, or somebody else can. And hope to catch you guys in the next one.